torture. You don't get accused and convicted of child torture and then suddenly are like, oh, I just really care about these children's healing. Like, that's not what happens.
I almost fell over in the courtroom when I heard Jodi say that she loved those children. Jodi doesn't love children. Jodi's like Ted Bundy.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for tuning into the channel. Let's get right into it. Today, we're featuring Jodi Hildebrandt and Ruby Frank. We've discussed these two before, but today we have an update. The two are being sued for $20 million, you guys, and Ruby's daughter has written a book. She's exposing everything that she experienced growing up with the 8-passenger star, and you are not going to believe the accusations in this book. Not only Shari spilling the family secrets, but Hulu as well is dropping a 6-part documentary exposing both of the Utah women, and it's going to be juicy. It's going to detail all of the drama from beginning to the end, and I personally can't wait to tune in. Apparently, there's more to this book than what the cover reads. Ruby claims to have been brainwashed by Jodi. There are accounts from Jodi's family members saying that she was very abusive. However, it was Ruby's children that were tortured in this case.
It started off quite subtle, but first she stripped me of identity. So I had to cut all my hair off. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I wasn't allowed to wear the clothes that I had. I was not allowed to go to school. She made me sleep outside in the snow. She duct taped me. I wasn't allowed to speak to anyone.
I am humbled and willing to serve a prison sentence as long as it takes to continue unraveling all of the misinformation I have believed and bought, swallowed, and acted out, and for my family to heal and for the community to heal. And I understand this is going to take time. I'm committed to continuing my learning until all of my toxic layers are shed, and I am ready to re-enter as a contributing member of our beautiful society.
Ooh, okay. Now let's scroll on over to Jodi and see what she has to say.
Sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive.
Okay, so let's get into the $20 million lawsuit filed by Michael Robert Tillman with the Utah Federal District Court, and the book by the beautiful Shari Frank as she hops in the driver's seat and shares her heroic survival story. For the first time, let's hear from one of the children of Ruby Frank. The story had all the ingredients: a beautiful, God-fearing American family turning their rags into riches on YouTube, only to be wrenched apart in a dramatic turn of events featuring demonic possession, doomsday prepper cults with lesbian undertones. After news broke that her sister and brother had been saved from the House of Horrors, Shari ran straight to Instagram to upload a post showing thanks that they were saved. The caption crystallized in my mind a single word that carried the weight of years. Finally. Upload to Instagram, share. This nightmare was born on social media, and it should die there too. Shari was ecstatic that her siblings were saved as she went to Instagram to share her happiness, but the fact remained that her family had been torn apart and the scars were too deep to heal overnight. It would take years to recover from what Ruby did to her family. In the book, Shari also shares about not having privacy, growing up as a child in the Franke family. She also wrote in the book, in a kinder world, their stories would not be fodder for a book. Their private moments would be their own, known only to friends and family, not to be dissected by strangers on the internet. But peace and anonymity were never in the cards for us. We have Ruby to thank for that. Ruby and her insatiable hunger for attention and success. Shari goes on to detail her battle with depression and her mother's surprise divorce after meeting Jodi Hildebrandt, joining the Connections group, and their alleged relationship that followed. In the book, Shari shared, "I'm shutting down more and more. I can't help it. Even though my silence really triggers Mom, she seems to think that if I'm quiet, that I have a bad attitude. The truth is, I'm quiet because I irrevocably and undeniably hate myself, and I have for a while." Apparently, Jodi has a long history of destroying and promoting the separation of families, which leads to the lawsuit by Michael Robert Tillman, who claims that Jodi caused his divorce, and not just his divorce, but the divorce of several women that follow her in the Connections group. Robert is the husband of one of the members of Connections, and he claims that the women, Jodi, who has an estimated $4.9 million in net worth, and Ruby, who has an estimated $2 to $5 million in net worth, still have a cult-like following even though they're behind bars. Robert claims that his wife and thousands of other women are still financially supporting the Connections group, and now the two are facing RICO charges for racketeering, wire fraud, and selling fraudulent services online to further the enterprise, asking the court to bar the teachings because the women are using the funds to further their enterprise. Similar to a cult following, the women have very active social media accounts currently where they promote parenting, child labor, child torture, and they financially gain from this. And Robert is asking that the court immediately shuts down all of their social media accounts, including their YouTube, their podcasts, and everything that is still very much alive related to Connections and 8 Passengers.
Jodi Hildebrandt has been one of the top recommended therapists by the Mormon Church in Utah for at least 15 to 20 years.
But at home, Jesse says their aunt was an altogether different person.
It started off quite subtle, but first she stripped me of identity. So I had to cut all my hair off. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I wasn't allowed to wear the clothes that I had. I was not allowed to go to school. And everything was because I found identity in it.
Subtle quickly turned into what Jesse says was downright abusive.
She made me sleep outside in the snow. She duct taped me. I wasn't allowed to speak to anyone.
What, in theory, was the justification for the duct tape?
The duct tape was, in her words, an external reminder to me that I'm a liar and that every word that comes out of my mouth is a lie.
And so did you. See that mountain range behind you? Do you feel like you climb up those mountain ranges every day in your life? Or with your kids, it's like, oh my goodness, I have to do the same routine over and over. Well, we're here to invite you to our Facebook page called Moms in Truth. And we want to help you understand that instead of chasing your kids all over the place, you need to learn what's called principles of truth. Principles of truth. That's right. Become the mom of solid ground. We made it. We did!
So, what do you think? Since Ruby and Jodi have both been convicted and charged of these heinous crimes against children, and there is a history of Jodi Hildebrandt having a very questionable past, do you think the woman's online teaching should be totally scrubbed from the internet? According to Shari's book, Ruby was a willing participant in the abuse against the children. But do you believe that it's possible she could have been one of Jodi's alleged victims? Or did she pioneer her own movement within Connections and partner alongside Jodi Hildebrandt? Leave your thoughts below and tell us what you think about this horrific, never-ending fairy tale turned nightmare. And if you made it this far, you know we appreciate you. Take care, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.